The story of Deborah, a judge, a prophetess, and a mother in Israel. Deborah was one of the most remarkable figures in the history of Israel. She lived in the period after Joshua had led the people into the Promised Land, a time when Israel often turned away from God. Whenever the Israelites forgot the Lord, he allowed foreign nations to rise against them as a form of discipline. During Deborah's time, Israel was under the oppression of King Jabin of Canaan, whose commander was a mighty warrior named Sisera. Sisera had 900 iron chariots, which were powerful weapons of war in those days. For 20 long years, the Israelites suffered greatly under this oppression, and they cried out to God for deliverance. It was in this dark time that Deborah rose as a leader. She was both a prophetess and a judge. She would sit under a palm tree between Ramah and Bethel, and the people of Israel came to her for guidance and judgment. Deborah was deeply respected because she listened to the voice of God and gave wise and fair counsel. Her strength was not in the sword or the spear, but in her closeness to God and her ability to inspire faith in others. But Deborah's role was greater than simply settling disputes. She was chosen by God to bring deliverance to Israel. One day, she sent for a warrior named Barak from the tribe of Naphtali. She told him that God had commanded him to gather 10,000 men and lead them into battle against Sisera and his army. Yet Barak hesitated. He told Deborah that he would only go if she went with him. His words revealed his fear, but they also showed his respect for Deborah's faith and leadership. Deborah agreed to go with him, but she warned Barak that the honor of victory would not belong to him. Instead, God would deliver Sisera into the hands of a woman. With this assurance, Barak gathered his men at Mount Tabor. 10,000 soldiers stood ready for battle, and Deborah was there to encourage them. When Sisera heard that the Israelites were gathered, he marched out with his 900 iron chariots and his entire army. The sight of such power might have shaken anyone, but Deborah gave the command to Barak to advance. She reminded him that the Lord had already gone before them. As the battle began, God threw Sisera's army into confusion. The mighty chariots became useless, and the Israelites charged forward with great courage. The Canaanite army was defeated, and not a single soldier was left standing. Sisera, seeing that the battle was lost, abandoned his chariot and fled on foot. Weary and desperate, he ran until he came to the tent of a woman named Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite. Jael welcomed him in, covered him with a blanket, and gave him milk to drink. Believing he had found safety, Sisera lay down and fell into a deep sleep. But Jael had no intention of protecting him. While he slept, she took a tent peg and a hammer and drove the peg through his temple. In that moment, Sisera died, and Deborah's prophecy was fulfilled. The honor of victory went to a woman. When Barak arrived in pursuit of Sisera, Jael showed him the body. Israel's enemy was defeated, and the people were finally free from the oppression of King Jabin. After this, Deborah and Barak lifted their voices in a song of praise. This song, recorded in the 5th chapter of Judges, is one of the oldest pieces of Hebrew poetry. It celebrates the power of God, the bravery of those who fought, and the faithfulness of Jael. It also reminds us of the tribes that stood firm and those that failed to help. In every line, it gives glory to the God who saved his people. Because of Deborah's leadership, Israel enjoyed peace for 40 years. She stood not only as a prophetess and a judge, but also as a mother in Israel. She nurtured her people with wisdom, guided them with courage, and pointed them back to God. Her life was a testimony that true leadership is not about gender or position, but about faith and obedience to God. Deborah's story teaches us timeless lessons. She stood for faith in God when fear surrounded her people. She showed courage in the face of overwhelming opposition. She delivered justice and reminded Israel that strength does not lie in weapons or chariots, but in trusting the Lord. Her works and achievements remain unforgettable, and her legacy continues to inspire men and women to rise in faith, courage, and obedience even in the most difficult times.